Alright, so enemies walking around and opening doors. How does that work? Right, so there are three elements. There's obviously an enemy, there's a door, and then there's a little marker that lets the enemy know, or lets the door know where the enemies are. So to add a new door to the map, I'm just using this as a different tile so you can see them. Just place a normal door, and then there's another entity called door marker, and you place that over the door, and you can see I've placed that over all the other doors in the map. The door marker script, it basically just, it'll start off in idle, and it will, the door has a variable called unique door ID, which will get set to map unique door ID, and then map unique door ID will increase by 1. Just coming over to this example, that means the first door that loads in the map will be called 1, the second one's unique ID will be 2, the third one's unique ID will be 3, and so on. Once it's done that, it then checks its X, Y, and Z position, and then it sends its X, Y, and Z position to an array called map.doorx, map.doorY, and map.doorz. So let's keep using this example. This door would then tell map, whatever I called it, map.doorx. It'll tell it that, I don't know, X is 30 and Y is 21 and Z is 0, and the same thing will happen for the other doors as well. So it's basically just a list, an array that says door 1 is at these positions, door 2 is at these positions, door 3 is at these positions, and so on. Once it's done all that, it sets a variable called setup, it loops back around, and then it goes to idle 2, and in idle 2 it doesn't do anything because we don't need it to do anything else, it's just a marker. So that's these markers. The enemies themselves, they can basically do whatever you want. Their AI can move and chill and shoot and everything however you like. The only important thing is that in their idle state they do a similar thing. They will set their own unique ID to map.uniqueID, and then they increase map.uniqueID. Then they set themselves to being set up, and then basically if it ever comes back into idle, it jumps out of idle to idle 2 before it runs through this again. So basically, in our paint example, when it initializes, this enemy gets a unique ID of 1, this one gets a unique ID of 2, this one gets a unique ID of 3, and so on for every enemy in the map, so every enemy has a unique ID. And then, it doesn't really matter when they're not moving because we don't care, but as soon as they start moving around in their chase loop, they'll play a couple of frames of animation. He plays frame 3, then frame 4, and then during frame 4 he also checks what his position is, and then sends his position to this array called map.enemyx, and the array position it sends it to is his unique ID. So a bit like the doors, when guy 1 is moving around, he's going to send his X position to the array, and his Y position to the array, and his Z position to the array, and the same thing will happen for enemy 2 when he's moving around, same thing will happen for enemy 3 when he's moving around. So as long as they're moving, they're constantly updating this array every couple of frames, because every couple of frames they've moved a little bit when they're in chase state, and they're sending their position to this array. So basically now we have an array of enemies with their positions, an array of doors with their positions, and then in our loop script we have all this shit. We have all of this stuff, and basically what that does is every frame it takes enemy 1 and it compares his position to each door, and it goes, what's the distance between him and door 1, and then if say it compares the distance between enemy 1 and door 1 and that's within a couple of tiles, then this door will open, and then it's going to do enemy 2 and he's going to check enemy 2's positions between all the doors, and then it takes enemy 3 and it checks enemy 3's position to all the doors, and it does that for every enemy, every door, every single loop, and if it's true then the door opens, and if it's false then nothing happens. And that's how that works. Each enemy basically has an array position. When it's moving, each door sets its array position, doesn't need to do it more than once because the door doesn't move unless it's haunted, and these aren't haunted. And then this like double loop in the loop script checks the position of every door against every single enemy, and then opens the door if it's true. There's obviously also a separate loop that checks the position of every door against position of the player, and if that is less than a certain distance, it opens the door as well, but that's separate. Anyway, I can share this. I don't know if it's actually useful for a real game, because it would be doing a lot of checks if you've got a big level with a lot of enemies, but who knows, maybe it's cool. Maybe there's a better way of doing it, and this just starts a conversation.